recording this, so I have it. There we go. Okay. So let me start over for people just coming in. We're getting some latecomers here. All right, so everyone's in. So guys, today we're going to design our yoga flow. Keep in mind, based on your level of ability, you could design your own yoga flow, or you could use the resources we have given you to design a yoga flow. Okay. If I share my screen right now, let me get on the right page here so it'll share. So if I share my screen with all of you, if you go to our page, we go to classwork, we go to week 7, okay? Obviously today's Tuesday.
And why you're
on Tuesday, and you go yoga flow design right here. You are going to notice on this page, designing a flexibility yoga style flow routine using 6 to 8 movements, okay? 6 to 8 movements. I want to kind of get away from the word yoga because it's kind of more of a flexibility flow. Granted, we are using yoga movements in it, but we're really tapping into that component of flexibility here, okay? I talk about flow here. A good yoga flexibility flow has a logical flow to it. You want the poses to weave together into, I can't say that word, but you guys know what I mean. It would be strange to go from a seated pose straight to a mountain pose, okay? You want it to flow as good as possible. That's what I'm gonna talk about today, some of the transitions you'll do, okay? Instead, think about working your way from low to high poses or from high to low poses, however you wanna do. Maybe do a downward dog before going into your warriors, okay? That's kind of a common thing that we always kind of do. Use cat-cow to transition from seated poses to a down dog pose. As you create a plan for your flow, don't forget to think about the transition. Getting from one pose to the next is just important as the poses themselves. And making sure your footwork is good, your body movement's good, everything like that. Using the following movements learned, design a 6 to 8 movement yoga flow, explain and execute, repeat the flow 3 times. So guys, we want this flow to repeat 3 times, and we don't want you to rush through it. Granted, on Flipgrid, it's only a maximum of 10 minutes. Okay, I don't expect you to show 10 minutes, just show your flow once, and then go through it 3 times for yourself. Some of you are gonna be sweaty after this. Some of you, it's gonna be a workout. That's great. That's kind of what we want. What was I gonna say here? Okay, here are all the movements we went to. Now notice right here, note you may add movements you know or learn as necessary. So if you want to go on, you want to add to your yoga skills right now, if this is something in your components of fitness you're passionate about, feel free. That's the whole point. I'm not confining you guys to these movements, okay? These are just kind of the ones we did. I found this article online, which there's a link right here that talks about a yoga flow. Let me click on that so we kind of go to it a little bit, okay? This is how to create your own yoga flow style. I looked at a lot of them. This one was the one I kind of liked the best. Granted, it is 2 years ago, almost exactly. I just noticed that. So things might change. And it breaks down into having space, having a theme, your opening poses, you know, talks about what it could do, and it gives you the fancy name. Did you know pigeon pose, also called Eka Pada Raja Kapotasana? Okay. I can't even pronounce it, but, and then it talks about different types of poses, the flow, sun salutations, okay, all this stuff. If you're really into it, you could go do this. If you're not really into it, guys, just do kind of, you know, what we're doing here, okay, what we've done. All right, without further ado, I'm gonna get into it. Let's hold on a second, let's back up a little bit, make sure you have filled out your exit ticket for today. If you haven't done your goal setting thing, guys, you need to do it. That's our first step to goal setting. Again, we're going to eventually incorporate all components of physical fitness as we go into next quarter. But right now, we need to make sure that we are picking one of them and doing it, and we're going to set benchmarks. Okay, we're going to talk about that in the end, benchmarks of what we're going to do. And I'm going to give you strategies today to move on. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to make my movement camera the spotlight. Okay, so that's one you should see now. Okay, and on my screen, I am going to put all you happy little creatures on Zoom. Stop share. Okay, now I can see you all. And I'm happy because we have to officially have 5, 9, 12 of you on camera. It's not bad. All right, I'm going to move over here. We're going to get started here. Okay. Now, guys, I don't expect you to do this. Right now, I expect you more to watch. This is more teaching right now. Okay. But we want to talk about some of our poses, how to flow from one to the next. Okay. How we go from one to the next. So first of all, your starting pose. Okay, your starting pose can be anything. I like to personally start in child's pose. I know when we've been doing the flow at the end of our workouts, we've been starting in mountain pose, and that's just because our heart rate's been up. So if you're doing this flexibility flow, like let's say at the end of a workout, you probably want to start standing up. Okay, if you're doing it for the start of the workout, there are some poses that are considered warm-up poses. Okay, and one of them is child's pose. So if I'm going from child's pose to the next pose, I probably want to think of a pose or a posture that's on my knees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight from child's pose to cat-cow. Now, for this activity, cat-cow can be two different movements. Generally, when you do yoga, people don't generally do cat without cow, so they kind of work together. But I'm going to do them together. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through poses. And what I'm going to do is on purpose, I did not come up with a plan for today as far as what movements I'm going to do, because I want to show you how my brain works to transition them together. Okay. So first I came on my first thing. I'm not warmed up, so I'm going to start off in child's pose. So what I'm going to do for child's pose, I'm going to find an area on the ground. Okay. Again, remember knees are wide first, hands are out. I'm going to draw up here, and I'm going to focus on my breathing. Anytime you stretch or do anything flexible with yoga stuff, your breathing is so important. So important. We want to take our mind to our breath. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mind to my breath here. I'm going to come down, focus on my breathing in and out. Now, generally there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably hold that for probably up to a minute even. Okay, just to kind of get my focus right and get my mind right. For demonstration purposes today, I'm only going to do it maybe once or twice. Okay, that's movement one. I'm letting my body sink. I'm going to come right up, like I said, to cat-cow. I'm going to make sure I'm nice and good here, cat-cow. Cat-cow, really focusing on my breathing through the movement. Focus on my breathing through the movement. Now I'll pause here. Now we've already got 3 movements in for our flow. We're flowing. We flow straight from child's pose to cat-cow. Now from here, okay, there's some poses we haven't went over that you could probably go to. Like one's taking your arm underneath. Okay, that could possibly be one on each side. Or we go right into one we've learned, downward dog. So I'm going to make sure I set my toes underneath. I'm going to come right to downward facing dog. Already 4 movements. Okay, now Shavasana, I'm going to come right to upward facing dog for Cobra pose. Now let's talk about the difference here between Cobra and upward facing dog. Okay, upward facing dog, all that's touching is my laces. Cobra pose, my thighs are on the ground. Okay, you'll notice little differences in those. Okay, we haven't gone over upward facing dog too much, but my laces are rolling on the ground. Okay, now let's remind where I've gone to. I went from child's pose to cat-cow to downward facing dog to upward facing dog. Okay, now we're flowing. Now what I'm going to go is I'm going to go right back to neutral spine to downward facing dog. I'm going to walk my feet up and I'm going to come right down into ragdoll. Okay. Now I change up the flow on us because usually we've always went from downward facing dog right to warrior one, okay, or half pigeon. So I'm changing up the flow. This is an example, changing up the flow. Once again, I'm going to start over and repeat to show you. Child's pose. Cat-cow. Again, when you do it, don't rush. Cat-cow. Right to downward facing dog. Right to upward facing dog. Right to walk our hands up. To ragdoll. Right from ragdoll to chair pose. Hands high. Knees together, feet back. Okay. Right to forward fold, back to ragdoll. Again, I'm repeating the pose, so that's not a new movement. Okay. Boom. Right back here. I'm going to go right to chair pose again. You can repeat the movements. Okay. If it feels good, don't be afraid to repeat it. Okay. You might need that flexibility in there. Okay. Again, I'm going to back up, start over, show you where my flow again. I'm going to count the movements I've done so far. Child's pose. Cat-cow. Downward facing dog. I didn't count it. Your child's pose 1, cat-cow 2, 3, downward facing dog 4, upward facing dog 5, up to ragdoll 6, chair pose 7. Okay, now, when we repeat the flow, we got to figure out how to get back to our position. So watch how I got back to our position. I went from chair pose, okay, to forward fold ragdoll, right back to downward facing dog, right back to child's pose. Right up to cat-cow, right to downward facing dog, right to upward facing dog. Walk it up to ragdoll, to chair pose, to forward fold, right to downward dog, right down to child's pose. Now, keep in mind, some poses might be warm-up poses. So poses where you stop for a considerably long period of time, they might only show up in your flow once or twice. Now let me talk about what that means. I might want to start off as my warm-up pose as child's pose to start with my breathing. So if child's pose is starting with my breathing, I might not have to do that again. Okay, I might skip it. So let me show you an example of that. So that was one possibility of flow. The options are endless. I don't want you to copy me. I want you to come up with your own based on how you feel. Right now we're doing it where you're going to own it. Now I'm going to show you another one where I only do child's pose at the start. So I start off with child's pose. Okay. Now I realized I really like cat-cow after child's pose. Okay. So I'm going to go child's pose, right to cat-cow. Okay. 2 and 3. Right to downward facing dog. Okay. Right to three-legged dog. Right to warrior 1. Right to warrior 2. Right to reverse warrior. Come back down to downward dog. Go right to the other side. Three-legged dog on the left. Warrior 1 on the left. Warrior 2 on the left. Reverse warrior. Downward facing dog. Okay. And now I can add in my other one. Right to upward facing dog. To downward facing dog. To ragdoll. To mountain pose. To ragdoll. To downward facing dog. To three-legged dog. To warrior 1. Warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Downward dog. Okay? Now let's talk about what I did there. See how I flowed a little bit without going back to child's pose, but I started child's pose? Child's pose might be what's considered a warm-up. Okay, warm-up one. Mountain pose sometimes considered a warm-up too. Okay? Anything where we hold and focus on our breathing might be a warm-up pose. Now it's your practice, okay? That's kind of the beauty about working out stuff. It's yours. You own it. Okay, yoga is a lot of a comfort zone. The big thing I want you to understand with the movements is try to perfect the movements. Now, let's talk about warrior one a little bit. Warrior one's what people commonly do wrong. I wasn't doing it 100% correct right there because I was trying to focus on showing you the flow. But as you do the flow, you're going to get more warmed up. You're going to be able to do it better. So when I get to warrior one, again, when you do my flow, I did right there. Child's pose, warm up. Cat cow was another warm up here. Then I went to downward facing dog. Okay. Then three-legged dog. Okay, now three-legged dog, one of your leg as straight as possible up. When we go to warrior one, here's one common mistake people make. When I come here, I don't want to raise my glute. I want to stay low. Stay low. You're going to feel more flexibility. When we go to warrior two, we want to stay low. Reverse warrior, stay low. See how I'm off balance? Okay, this makes it harder. Watch what I did the other time. The other time what I did when I went to warrior one, see how I came up? That makes it easier. That's an adjustment if you're not ready for it, okay? But every time we go through the flow, that's why I want to repeat 3 times. We want it to get better. Okay, now, I've talked about a lot right now. Some of you guys got it, some of you guys have lost. When we do this, guys, when we do this, okay, we want to flow, we want to get better every time. Okay, so let me go through the flow I just went and watch how I get better every time. I'm going to do it 3 times. Number 1, child's pose. Warming up, focusing on my breathing. Number 2, cat cow. Okay, those are my warm-up poses. They still count as positions 2 and 3. Then I go into downward facing dog. This is the first one of my little flow I did. Downward facing dog. I'm slowly getting better. I'm dropping my head through. Glutes are coming up. I'm getting more and more extended. Number 5, three-legged dog. Really focus on it. Number 6, warrior 1. 7, warrior 2. 8, reverse warrior. Coming back down. I did all my whole flow there. Back to downward dog. I got to do the other side too. Three-legged dog. Focusing on it. Coming back. Warrior 1. Warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Back to downward dog. Now I'm repeating the flow. Keep in mind, I said that cat cow and child's pose were warm-up poses. So now I'm going back to on the other side. Three-legged dog. Whoa. Warrior 1. Warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Back to downward dog, other side. Three-legged dog. Warrior 1. And I'm starting to sweat. Warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Back to downward dog. Now maybe I finished my flow. That was 2 times through. Now I'm going to go to my cool down flow exercise. I love half pigeon for a cool down. Personally, I think it's a really good stretch when I'm warmed up. So I'm going to go into half pigeon as my cool down. I'm going to come, remember, shoelaces to wrist. I'm going to hold this up, come down to my elbows if I feel comfortable. I'm going to hold this for a little longer as a cool down, focus on my breathing. Put my hands back down, come back up, back to three-legged, left laces right wrist, half pigeon on the other side, come back to my elbows if I feel comfortable. Back to my hands, come here, walk my hands up, breathe back to ragdoll a little bit here, come up slowly, let the spine come up and hold. One we haven't done at the end that a lot you'll notice in every yoga is, it's called Savasana. I call it the laying down fall asleep pose. They have you lay down on your back, palms up, and you just focus on your breathing right here. Let your legs open up however you want. I call it the falling asleep pose. I gotta figure out the exact name. Okay. So there we did a flow. Now let's close this out. I want all you to pay attention closely. I'm gonna go back to my main computer. Make sure you're paying attention. I'm gonna pause this one so we don't get confused. All right. All right, guys, I'm back. Okay, so I just burned 95 calories in that little yoga flow in 12 minutes. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about what we did there, guys. What we did is we took a sequence of exercises we learned through movement mastery. Okay, a sequence of exercises, and we put it into a flexibility flow. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to go from here and you're going to own it and you're going to do your own. Okay, we're working that component of flexibility. Now let's talk about goal setting aligned with this. If I was setting a flexibility goal, okay, it'd be very vague because I can't determine an ultimate outcome on this. It would be to perfect my yoga, perfect my flow. We'll call it I'm going to use someone's example. We'll call it the grace flow. Okay, you're going to name all these flows. Maybe it's the grace flow. That has a lot of meaning because Grace's name is Grace, and we want to flow with grace. So flow with grace. You can be a yoga instructor, Grace, and you can have all kinds of cool stuff with it. But so what we want to do is we want to perfect our yoga flow through it. So you got to do one you like. This might take a couple times to get it down, okay? What I'm looking for in your videos is I want to see some passion and some ownership on your flow. I don't want to see checking the boxes on this one, okay? I really want to see you owning it. Okay, now let's go back and show what we've learned. So if we look at all these flows we learned, you should be able to look at all these movements, okay, and be able to tell what they are because we've done them in movement mastery. Okay, Coach K demonstrated them very well. If you forgot them, let's say, oh my gosh, I don't know what tree pose is. Okay, personally, I hate tree pose, so probably I need to work on it. Okay, that might be one of my goals, get better at tree pose. I don't like tree pose because I'm always falling over the whole time. Remember tree pose is where we put our heel either above our knee or below our knee and hold it. Okay, focus on our breathing. That could be a good warm-up and cool down movement too. Okay, crescent lunge, we did that one. Recline butterfly, that could be one for cool down or warm up too, letting our body sag. Okay, but we know what these exercises are. And let's look at the ones I just did. I did child's, I did cobra, I did cow, I did downward dog. Okay, I did half pigeon, I did ragdoll, I did mountain pose, I did chair pose, I did warrior one, I did warrior two, I did three-legged dog. So, and I technically did crescent lunge because crescent lunge is kind of like the warrior pose in a lot of ways. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of these movements in the 2 yoga flows I showed you, okay? But I want you to own it, especially if you feel like you're really going to get into yoga. Search in yoga flow and find one online you like, okay? Reclaim it as your own. Okay, that's what I want you to do. So your goal for today, talking about goal setting, once again, your goal today is to create a 6 to 8 movement yoga flow. It's not limited 8. If you want to make it more than 8, I'm fine, but I want it to be at least 6 because it's probably going to take 6 to do it. Okay, this is one where you go online and find one, but I want you to own it. Okay, now let's review things we've gone over. Goal setting. Okay, goal setting. We're going to set all components of our goal setting. Okay, with this. Flexibility, we're attacking today in today's assignment, a 6 to 8 movement yoga flow. Okay, are there any questions on that? Give me a thumbs up if you get it. Okay, thank you, Miles. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Wyatt.
Joe.
Caitlin, Matthew Broyles, Alex Blaz, Karan. Brian and Lou, do you have your hand up?
Yes. Yes.
I myself.
Coach Joe?
Yes, Brian.
Is there a flip grid option in Tuesday?
Yeah, there is. If you go to assignment, you're going to see the flip grid.
All right.
Okay. All right, so now, we're good on today's assignment because I want to go back to yesterday's and I want to give you guys a plan. We're good on today's assignment. You guys all tell me thumbs up. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up this page here, okay? And we're going to go back to yesterday's, okay? And I'm going to pull up the thing, and I'm going to give you guys examples to work on your goals and setting your goals, So if I go to week 7 here, I go back to yesterday. And one thing I added, guys, since you guys is for yesterday, I added an Excel sheet right here. You guys had the PDF, but I added an Excel sheet for you guys if you guys wanted to use that one. Okay, so if I look here, can you guys see my Excel sheet right now? Can you see it? No? Okay. So I'm going to reshare. So, guys, one thing I did is I added this Excel sheet right here for this. Okay, now let's talk about the 3. If you pick cardiovascular endurance, which not very many of you picked, okay, all you should have filled out right now is put in here 1 mile run. Okay. You should have put in here 1 mile run. Okay, and you should have put your time. Okay, now you don't put your final result in. Okay, if you pick muscular endurance, remember muscular endurance was burpees and your number you got in 1 minute. Okay, so make sure you put in here burpees in 1 minute so you know. Okay, and I should have set this up for you, but obviously we want to wrap this text. Okay. All right, and if you pick muscular strength, it's hand release push-ups. It's max hand release push-ups. Okay. So these are, you should have picked one of these. This is what you should have filled out right now. Okay, you should have which one you picked, only one of them. If you're real advanced, you'll do all 3. Okay, so and then you have an initial result right here. Based on our initial result, we're going to set a goal. Okay, we're going to set a goal. Okay, so generally the goal is to improve to a certain amount, and we want it to be specific. And our first goal can be a benchmark. Okay, if our end goal is a lot, like let's say your end goal on hand release push-ups was 100, you'd probably want to have a benchmark. Okay, so what I'm going to do personally is I'm going to use these little boxes down here for my benchmarks and then my final. My final result might be a 6 minute and 30-second mile. Okay, so in order to reach a 6 minute and 30-second mile, first I need to have an 8-minute mile. Okay, and then I need to have a 7-minute mile. Okay, so the first thing is I got to see how fast I could run for a 6-minute mile. I got to see where I can get to that. So first thing is I'm going to run, if I can run an 8:30 mile, okay, the next step to get into that 8-minute mile is to be able to run, see where I'm at in 8 minutes. So run as fast as I can for 8 minutes. If I don't get to a mile, I don't get to a mile, but I want to see where that 8-minute point is. Okay, so one thing I might do is I might run straight for 8 minutes, see where I'm at, and then run for an extra half mile after that. Okay, so let me explain that a little better. So I might set my timer. Let's say I use my watch. I run for 8 minutes, and then wherever I'm at for 8 minutes, I know that. And then I run for a whole minute after that to get my cardiovascular endurance up. That's how I'm going to improve it. I'm going to run further than that and faster eventually. Okay, and that might be a lot for you guys. So understand what I'm saying. Okay, so we want to run over a mile and see where our time is. If my goal is muscular endurance, burpees in 1 minute, okay, my ultimate goal is going to be 40. That's a very good goal. So first I got to make sure I get to 25, and then I got to make sure I get to 35 on that as benchmarks. So the first time is I'm going to do 25 burpees, and I'm going to see how long it takes me. Okay, it might take me over a minute, but I only have a minute usually, but I'm going to make sure I can complete 25. So now we're setting little benchmarks to our ultimate goal. Okay, say my muscular strength is to do 60 total hand release push-ups. So my first goal has got to be like probably 35, and my next goal is probably got to be let's say 50. Okay, I got to make sure I could complete 35 hand release push-ups. So what I might do is I might do as many as I can, take a little break, come back to a set of 5, come back to that till I get to 35 first. Okay, so notice what I did here is I have my initial result, which you guys should have, and then I set benchmarks. Notice my benchmarks. These are my benchmarks. Okay, these are my benchmarks. Okay, and then I have my goal for my final result. Okay, your final result, when we do final result, you might not reach this. And then as far as goals, you got to reanalyze, what did I do well? What do I need to improve on? Okay, for all that. Very important to understand. Okay, that's a little more involved with goal setting. Like I said, we're going to go over different things. So for tomorrow, even though we're not meeting, even though I'm not going to grade this, even though it's not, I want you to go back to your initial test, set a benchmark, and get to that benchmark. Okay, now let's talk about them all again. A benchmark might be to next goal is to run an 8-minute mile. We got to run as fast as we can for 8 minutes and see how far we get. That's the first step there. Muscular endurance, your goal might be to do 25 burpees. We got to be able to complete 25 burpees, okay, before we complete 25 burpees in a minute. Might be able to do that. Our goal might be able to do 35 hand release push-ups. You got to be able to complete 35 hand release push-ups. You might need to go down to your knees to complete it. However you can do to complete it on your benchmark. Are there any questions on that? Okay, so your goal for tomorrow is to set benchmarks as far as your goal. Set what I want to accomplish it next to my overall goal. Okay, very important to do that. Okay, I threw a lot out at you. Let's regroup and find out what's due today. All that's due today is your exit ticket and your 6 to 8 yoga flow. Good on that, right? Give me a clap for happy. Clap for happy. Clap for happy. Yay. Hercules, Hercules, Hercules. Yes, okay, good. Okay, your goal for tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow we're not going to meet, but you're going to have your exit ticket. You're going to have turn your mat, my run. But I also want you to set benchmarks. Not going to be turned in. I'm eventually going to ask you for them, but I want you to set benchmark as far as your goals for goal setting. Okay. Are we good with all that? Okay. All right. I'm giving myself 13 more minutes here because I don't want to keep you on for longer than 50 minutes. Let's have a little life talk. Guys, some of you guys have not been good at school. Some of you guys have been good at school. Okay. Some of you guys have been told you're not good at school. Some of you have been told you are good at school. Okay. This goes along with goals. What I want you to do, and I want everyone's attention right here. What I want you to understand is, guys, no matter what you have been told, it's all about you setting personal goals for yourself. Okay. Personal goals for yourself. Personal attainable goals. If you are not good at turning in assignments, your first step is to turn in an assignment. I don't care what your grade is on it. Okay, I don't care where you're at. If you don't turn in assignments, usually for a class, your first step is to turn in assignments. You got to start somewhere to get somewhere. Okay, so analyze all your areas of life and where you want to improve right now. It might be to keep in contact with your friends. Maybe you want to reach out to a friend. The first step is reaching out. Okay, maybe you have a finance goal. Okay, your first step is how you're going to make money. You might need to go help out someone with taking out their trash. It's a little bit different right now. We don't want to go door to door to do yard work right now. But what I'm saying, you might have to go do yard work or take out someone's trash for them. Okay, every ultimate goal has to start somewhere. Okay, so make sure, guys, make sure you look at all aspects of your life and what you want to start off with now as far as reaching them. Okay, I'm going to be talking a lot more from the fitness component because you guys are in fitness and conditioning. Okay, if in history class you're not paying attention in your Zoom meeting very well, maybe you need to pay attention to your Zoom meeting. Maybe you need to turn on your camera for a little more accountability. Because I would be very naive to think out of 54 people in this class that all of you are sitting by your computer totally paying attention to me. I bet some of you guys are making Cheerios right now that don't have your camera on. I bet some of you guys might even be in the restroom right now. I bet some of you guys, heaven forbid, might be playing Fortnite right now. Okay?
Because
so if something's
Fortnite,
important to you guys, if something's important to you guys, it all starts off with the goal. Yes, Brian Lynn.
because Fortnite is addicting.
Go ahead, Brian Lynn.
Because Fortnite is addiction, right?
Sorry,
I,
let me do this if this works. Okay. All right, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Because Fortnite was addiction, right?
I think I have a short in my system. Okay, go ahead again, Brian.
Because
not me.
Go ahead.
Because Fortnite was has an addiction, right?
All right, this is
a lot.
very. I got to call our tech because you're cutting out. I can't hear you. As long as you can hear me, it's good. Try again, Brian, one more time.
What happens if you can't hear me?
I could hear you at the start, and then you cut out every time. I don't know what's going on with my sound. It's really bothering me. But
Because Fortnite was
can you hear
addicting.
him, Katie? Okay. Yes, Fortnite is addicting. That's why I've never played it, because I know I don't want to get addicted to a game. Okay, so I know, so I didn't put myself to it. So remember, if a goal is for you, make sure you do it. Katie, can you do me a favor? Can you grab Laura, the lady outside with the white hair? Tell her I have a question for her in a second. Yeah, Laura. No, but she could see it right now. Guys, I'm gonna use you as an example, so I have Laura. Miss Laura is our lady that helps us with all our technology. She is a saint. So Miss Laura, Brian, can you talk real quick? Can you come on and talk? Every time you'll see it on the screen too. Go ahead and talk, Brian.
Yes.
Every time someone talks, it cuts out like that.
Oh.
So I can't hear him. It's getting really, like, Brian, ask another question.
I don't know about it.
That is really weird.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. You were a great example for me. I appreciate you.
Yay.
Okay. Yeah.
And you're using a hover cam for a dock cam.
Yeah.
I have another webcam. I'll bring that down and see if that makes a difference.
Thank you so much.
Is this a good time for me to bring it down?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Laura. Everyone clap for Laura. Thank you, Miss Laura. Yay. All right. Okay, guys. So today, yoga flow. Tomorrow, Map My Run and benchmarks. Are we all good? How did I do today? You guys are too nice. I wish there was a thumbs down option. It's like all the stuff is positive. Like, so it's like, I want to get better. So tell me how I get better. I don't want to be a normal PE teacher. I want to be a good PE teacher. Okay. All right, Matthew, I need you paying attention, bud. You look like you're so excited for yoga flow. I see you already starting it. All right, any other question? Tanner, you're a baseball player, right?
Yeah.
Guess who I hung out with the other day?
Who?
Michael Clevenger.
No, you didn't.
I did. I have a picture with him.
What? That's
Yeah,
not
he
cool.
was really cool. We talked about his elbow. It was really sad, but he's a good guy, great guy. So
That's cool.
yeah, that's the advantage of living downtown is I see these guys. So I'm cooler than you because I hung out with Clev. Haha. Just joking. I'll never be cooler than a high school kid. You guys are too cool. All right, guys. Any other questions for me before I let you go?
So for the yoga flow thing, are we supposed to look one up or just create one?
Create one, whatever you're comfortable with. Well, that's a great question. I want you to own it however you want. If you just want to do it, just to take the movements you do, go ahead and do it that way. If you want to look up one, go ahead. That's what learning is. What you're doing is you're taking the idea, I'm going to make a yoga flow. How am I going to make it? And you do it however you want. You got to own your goals, own your fitness. Okay. I try to own my fitness every day. Okay. I own it because it's something for me and it's helping me. I want you guys to start to own it. We've given you a lot of tools. Now it's on you. I guarantee you're going to feel better. I guarantee if you buy into what you're saying, you're going to thank me later. Okay. You might even invite me to your wedding someday and give me a free meal at your wedding. But, that's a long time from now, hopefully. Okay. I haven't done this in a while. Last thing I'm going to leave you with. There's 3 places I want to see you. Okay. And there's 3 places I don't want to see you. Okay. I never, ever want to have to visit you in jail. Okay. Never, ever want to have to visit you in jail. So don't do anything bad. Okay. I never want to have to visit you in the hospital. Okay. I never want to have to visit you in the hospital. And I never want to have to attend your funeral. Okay. And I don't want to see you in those 3 places. 3 places I do want to see you. I want to see you at high school graduation. Okay. I want to be invited to your wedding someday. And maybe invited to the hospital when you have your firstborn. But your firstborn happens after your high school graduation, okay, and your wedding, okay? Make sure we go in that order too. All right? Now, how do we do this? Okay, you ask yourself every day with everything you do, would you do it in front of these 3 people? Would you do it in front of number 1, Coach Joe? If you wouldn't do it in front of me, it's probably bad. Okay. Like right now, would you play Fortnite in front of me? Probably not. So probably bad. Okay. Would you do it in front of your parents? That's number 2. And number 3, would you do it in front of grandma? If you would do it in front of me, you would do it in front of parents, and you would do it in front of grandma, it's probably pretty good to do. But if you wouldn't, you probably don't want to do it. And that's how you're going to be able to invite me to those 3 things, and I'm not going to see you at those 3 other things. You guys got it? And some of my students used to say, what would Coach Joe do? Okay, but that's what I want you to remember. That's your life talk for the day. Make sure you think about that. You'll remember that more than any lesson I taught you. I don't know why people have come back to me 8 to 10 years after graduation and say, would I do it in front of Coach Joe? And that's stuck in their mind. And then some of them say, I wish I would have thought about not doing it in front of Coach Joe. So, yeah. So don't cheat, because you wouldn't do that in front of me. Because if you cheat, I'll make you hold out your hand and I'll slap it. All right? All right. You guys have a great day. Don't forget your assignments. Think about all this stuff. Thumbs up. Clap for happy. Have a good day. If you have any other questions, I'll stick around. Awesome job.
Thanks, Coach.
Bye, guys.
Coach Joe.
Bye, girls.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Brian.
Bye.
Bye, Matthew Broyles.
I had a
I have
quick
a
question.
question for the yoga.
Okay, go ahead, Marlon first, and then.
So, in the instructions, we get to design 6 to 8 movements yoga flow, and then we do it 3 times. Do we do it once on the flip grid, then do the other 2 times?
Yep.
Or do we?
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yep.
Got it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Reagan, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I turned in the assignment from yesterday, but then I was listening to you like say don't turn it in, and I filled it in wrong. Should I just unsubmit it?
No. Still turn it, and then just know where we're going from here. That was a common thing. That's why I went over it. But you're fine, Reagan. Well, we'll continue because that's a goal setting. We're setting benchmarks next, and we're setting ultimate goal. So
Okay, thank you.
no problem. Thank you. Awesome, guys. Bye.
So that one worked. It's
It-
when you have more